Hi everyone, it's Ray here from ManCity Fan TV. Sadly, with England getting knocked out of the World Cup at the semi-final stage, I'm going to head back to France this weekend to hopefully catch the final somewhere in Paris, probably at one of the fan parks, with my children and their friends and some family, and fingers crossed for them especially that France win. In today's video, I want to talk about finally Riyad Mahrez arriving, a little bit of background about him and how we've been looking forward to it over the summer. Then want to go on and talk about the fan welcome for Riyad at the Etihad Stadium yesterday. And a few of you have already seen me tweeting live at the event. And I want to finish the video by talking about some admin, which follows on a little bit from the event last night, and some gripes some fans have that I've read on social media. Well, it's absolutely fantastic that Riyad Mahrez has finally signed and been unveiled as a City player. I think he's going to be a great addition to the squad. I can't automatically see him being a first team player. I think he'll be a part of a very talented and quite solid squad. He's already said himself that he doesn't expect to be playing every week, but I think he'll do his best when he's called upon. And he's also looking forward to playing in the Champions League again. He said he hasn't discussed with Pep where he's going to play, but he's happy to play right midfield, left midfield, up on the wing, behind the attacker, wherever. I mean, to be honest, he's happy to play wherever he can play for City. If you've been following the saga over the summer, you'd have seen us talk about Riyad Mahrez. I've said many times that I didn't expect him to sign early. I didn't expect him to sign during Ramadan, which was, let's say, mid-May to mid-June. I didn't expect him to sign at Eid, which is at the end of Ramadan, and for a few days after at least. I thought he'd sign before Algerian Independence Day, which was the 5th of July. But I also said as long as he signs before pre-season, I'd be happy. So he signed, okay, a couple of days into pre-season, and he's been training, I think, 2 or 3 days with the lads. Apparently Pep has got them doing double training sessions this week. So it's a hard start for him, but I think he's enjoying it. Some of you would have also seen me go to Sarcelles, where Riyad Mahrez is from, and just north of Paris in France. Went to visit his hairdresser there, to have a bit of fun. I had my hair cut there, had a few pictures with the barbers there. They love Riyad over there. Took some video. You might have seen some stuff on Twitter. It's very interesting to note that the Algerian fans, they're absolutely nuts about football, and they're nuts about their most high-profile player in the world, and that's Riyad Mahrez. Whenever I put a picture out on Facebook, we do have a Facebook page, and if you want to check that out, we'll leave the details in the comment sections below. But whenever I put out a picture of Riyad Mahrez on Facebook, we get tons of Algerian fans liking it, making comments. I think we've probably got 1,500 likes on our Facebook site, and we don't even really promote it. A lot of Algerian fans are really into Riyad Mahrez, and by default, that means they're really into Manchester City too. Really chuffed he's signed. Going back over some of his attributes, he was absolutely fantastic the season that Leicester won the league. I think he was one of their 2 best players, most outstanding players, along with N'Golo Kante. And how I'd really love him now that Jorginho's not signing for us. I'd really love N'Golo Kante, but I really can't see Chelsea letting him go to us. And if they did, it wouldn't be anything less than £100 million. So Riyad Mahrez, his stats were great at Leicester most of the time. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition, a fantastic attacking, dribbling addition to us. And I'm hoping that he can take another step forward with City, help us push for the Champions League, and help us to try and retain our Premier League title. I saw the meet and greet event for Riyad Mahrez advertised, I think it was on Twitter by the club a few days ago, and I thought since I was in Manchester for a few days, I'd make the effort to go down and have a look, check it out. Some of you might have read my comments on Twitter as to how I felt that meet and greet went. I've seen some fans and journalists, so-called journalists, like I think Duncan Castles. I don't normally read him, but he was retweeted and it popped up on my timeline, criticising Riyad Mahrez for not waving to the fans. Just taking a small extract of a video to highlight his points. And yeah, I stuck something up to say, well, you know, he's done double training sessions, he's done I think a couple of hours with the media that day, he's going to be a bit tired, and hey, why don't you show a little bit of footage where he was going there slapping people's hands. He stayed 25 minutes signing autographs, taking selfies, so he put a bit of effort in there for the 150 or so fans that turned out to greet him. I've got some personal observations as to how the event went. What I will talk about, what I will mention, is some of the observations by other fans that were actually there, and they were a little bit displeased, disappointed with the event. One chap, I think his name was Ant, he said he waited 4 hours with his mother for the event, and he felt that he was going to have the opportunity to meet and greet, take a selfie with Riyad Mahrez, and I think he popped a picture onto Twitter, and he was too far away and for anything, you know, reasonable for him to take a picture and do a selfie. And I know there was a competition to win a signed Riyad Mahrez shirt if you took a selfie with him and put that on Twitter, but you know, if you're so far away, how can you actually do that? So he kind of felt excluded from that competition. After the initial meet and greet, they took Riyad inside, and then he was coming outside about half an hour later. So Ant and his mother, they waited outside for another 30 minutes, hoping to be able to talk to him or have a selfie or an autograph or something. And I think there were about 30 fans at that time, or something like that, if I remember correctly. And sadly, Ant felt they were whisked past him, and he never got that opportunity to meet and greet, which is what he felt, and I think a lot of other fans felt would actually happen. I took my son with me. He was disappointed. You know, he'd come a long way. I mean, we live in Paris. We were all here for a week. Not even that. I'm taking him out of his holiday for a couple of hours to take him down to Manchester City to try and meet a player. So he was a bit disappointed because he's a small lad. He's only 10 years old, and unless you're at the front of next to the barriers, you know, you have to try and see past people who are 6 foot tall, and he couldn't do that. So he was disappointed. But I told him that's life. You can't always get what you want, and you'll get some disappointments along with some great times. So it's just part of growing up. There were other fans who expressed their displeasure too, saying, yes, we couldn't get a selfie, we're too far away. For the amount of time that Riyad Mahrez was there, you should have spent more time with the fans. You had Sky filming there, you had some presentations and some VIP fans who seemed to hog all the limelight, and the rest of the fans didn't get an opportunity to meet and greet Riyad. And some of them who long-term fans, season ticket holders, going for many years, they felt that they were in amongst a crowd of people who, some of them are just walking past or just happened to be at the City store that day. And I don't think you should get a special privilege, but sometimes you feel that your loyalty should be rewarded a little bit more than someone who's just walking past on the day. Following on from the Riyad Mahrez meet and greet event, I just want to comment generally about some of the administration and management at the club. Now, I know over the years City have been quite innovative with some brand new ideas, and with every new idea some things will work and some things will work really well and some things won't work. I was reading on Twitter this morning, somebody was complaining about the new ticketing website and saying potentially millions have been spent on this ticketing website, and it's actually worse than the last one. I've heard many fans complain about the website in general, saying it's worse than the previous incarnation, and in fact people have stopped using the new website unless they actually have to. I'm glad to see that we got rid of Viagogo as a ticketing partner, and we've got the exchange scheme, ticket exchange in-house. I'm really pleased about that. I do feel that as an older fan, let's say, a long-time fan, and I'm hearing what other people are saying where they feel the money is pushing people out, pushing the older fan away from the club. They don't feel involved, they don't feel included, and some events and some administration seems to be really poorly handled. In the past, I think we had a fans forum, or I think it was City Voice. I was one of the early people involved with that, but I stopped probably after a year and a half, as I felt the responses were very slow, if at all, and not very knowledgeable, and actually the fans seemed to know a lot more about what was going on than some of the people who are commenting on behalf of the club. And recently, I think the club have put forward a new initiative where there'll be, I'm not sure what it's actually called, but there'll be 13 fan representatives from different sections of the community, whether they're, let's say, over 65, season card holders, a representative from a supporters club, the BAME category, possibly LGBT as well. I can't remember all the different categories. I think that's a good initiative, even though everybody's going to be putting their time in on a voluntary basis. But I hope the club actually listen to the fans, listen to what we want, listen to what we're worried about. If we're complaining about, for instance, toilets, especially at games, is there anything that can actually be done about it? People complaining about queues, whether is that the fans' fault, is that the club's fault, is that just the world we live in these days with the extra security measures that we just can't avoid? People still complain about away tickets. How can you get an away ticket if you haven't been a fan for many, many years? They're unhappy with people just buying the away ticket, not actually going themselves and getting the points. Sometimes people are selling them on for a profit. There's lots of rumours out there that the Tunnel Club members get away tickets and some of them are just flogging them onto the market, which really seems unfair. It feels like there's fewer and fewer tickets available for fans for away games, European games, cup games, whatever. I think there has to be a fair system out there for away games. There's lots of different issues. I don't think fans are just complaining. They just want to see better ways to do things, better management, better administration, fairer ways to do it. You know, people will turn around and say, like on the away tickets, how can my kid's 10 years old, he's had a season card for 4 years. When he's 16 years old, what chance will he have of going to away games? I'm glad the club are doing more to try and help us fans, communicate with them. I'm glad they're doing more to hear our voices. I do hope that the people who are actually listening to what we're saying are in a position to actually make a difference. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please, we do need your support. We're still a few weeks away from the start of the season and we're still nearly 300 subscribers short of that magical 1,000 that we targeted before the start of the season. See you around, Blues.